Welcome to the demonstration of Cloud Rent for temporary fence companies. What we're looking at here is the dashboard of the phone app and also the dashboard of the desktop app in the background there. We can see the jobs are color-coded, and they're color-coded just to staticize, requires a site visit, is a quote, etc. I'm going to click into this Metricon Homes job. We can see that the contract is weekly for 12 weeks and it's $973. What the boys do is when they deliver the fence, they would come through to this area, through to the logistics section, and then they can push the items out. So we're basically saying that the inventory has been delivered, the fence has been set up, and we can see that it's out. Also on this screen, we can see any delivery notes, anything that we want to tell the boys. Once the fence has been set up, they would come through to this section here, and they can then take a signature, okay, which gets stored in the job. They can also take photographs so that if there was any damages or any panels broken, they could take photos of those and they would be stored into the database. Now I'm just going to close the phone app. Now, so if I go into that job, I can show you in that job under the document store, we can see the signature and any of the photographs that we've taken. Just go back to the dashboard. Here we can see icons that staticize various sections of the job, such as whether it's been paid or not. Red means that there's been no payments received. Orange, there's been payments, but it hasn't been paid fully. And green would mean it's been paid fully. The next indicator across is for invoicing. So it shows whether the job has been invoiced or not. And rolling over will just tell you details about the invoices that have been created. The next icon is about delivery. So it's saying that if it's red, it hasn't been delivered. Orange means it's been delivered. It's on site. The last section is for sub-rentals. So it just tells us that there was a problem with sub-rentals and we've actually sorted it. We've actually gone in and placed purchase order to a company for some product that we're short of. So I click back to the dashboard. The indicator on the right-hand side here is just for off-hire. So it allows us to, if the customer calls, we can see that the fence is out. We can do any partial returns here. Any losses can be added as well. And this is where we can put any notes and off-hire the job. So that just allows us to easily find the job and make changes to the delivery. If we wanted to see where we're going for that job, we just click this little icon and it would just bring up on the map where we're going to. The logistics screen here is an important screen, so it would just allow me to see all the jobs that I have. So this is the deliveries. So I can see all the deliveries that I have and I can assign these to vehicles and to drivers. And we can also see collections down here, and then we can see service calls. So click in, we can see a service call that someone has to go and do. And then we can map that run out. So we can prioritize all those jobs and then map that through to Google and then send the directions to someone's phone for that run. Or we can just basically email that run sheet to the driver. On the deliveries, where we're going to, and contact details. So that gets sent off to the driver. He'll also have that access via phone, so he can see that. Now I'm just going to go back to the dashboard again. Some other nice little features here, the ability to export. So when I come in on Friday, I want to see what I've got on for next week. Then once I have that range up, then I can send that to Excel. So I can send all the items in the job, so it'll give us the total amount of panels, and they'll be dropped into categories for each job, and the total amount of clamps and so forth. Or I can send anything that is a sub-rental in that range to an Excel spreadsheet, and also I might want to send all the job details to a spreadsheet. Start date, end date, who it is, and contact details. We also have a support button here so that if you have an issue, you can log a support ticket or chat with someone live regarding our software. We can see that these are quotes. If we wanted to, we could come into that job, and then we have a little messaging system here. So we can have predefined messages that we can send out. So, hey, your quote expires tomorrow. Are you still interested? We can click on that. Outstanding items, delivery confirmations. These can be sent to as a text message to their phone, or they can be sent as an email. We just click send email, and then that creates the email and with all the merge fields in it, and sends that off. So you can just come in here and edit those and create your own. So everything's back and forward. So I'm back at the dashboard. I'm going to go into the inventory. With the inventory section, one of the things that I like is the ability to create marketing brochures. So we can put some data in here and another graphic and some pictures of our fencing. And then if someone wants some information, we can then click on that email button, and that will create the brochure, and which can be sent out to the customer just with information about that temporary fence. We can also see that we can sell items here. So we could sell shade cloth or any other components. And we also have a minimum rental fee. So if someone calls you up and wants 10 meters of fence, well, that's below our minimum rental. So we don't charge for the fence panels, but we do charge for a minimum rental fee, which is $220 up front, which includes delivery. You can set all this up in the back end yourself. And I'll show you that in a second. Under the rates and kits here, this is where we can create components that go. So with every panel, we need 1 foot and 1 clamp or 1 brace or whatever. And down below, we can see our daily, weekly, and monthly rates. Now, we can charge by the meter or we can charge by the panel. I have charge by the meter turned on here. So basically, we'll charge by the meter. Now, I'll just go back to that list. If you wanted to check different prices, different rates, we just change that. And you can see that they all updates $4.40 a panel or $4.40 a meter per month or per week. I'm just going to go back to the dashboard. Going into the calendar, we can see all our jobs and they're color coded depending on status, which we can then filter out and say, well, show me all my quotes. And once again, we could then come through and then send them the message for the quote, or we can send our site visits, all the jobs that are completed. What I can also do is, instead of the rental calendar, I can show the delivery calendar. So it's just going to show the deliveries that we've got, and if we have to move a delivery, then we can just drag and drop it. Same with tasks, which our tasks are service calls. So if we need someone to go out and sort a fence out, then we can just drag that and move that across to, I want the service call on Friday. Okay, so let's go back to the dashboard. All right, so I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a quote. If I create a new booking, it's a quote. Who is it? Have you booked from us before? Yes, it's Ryan from Metricon. 12 weeks is our minimum. Now, in our long-term section, we have the ability to bill initial period. So for our first bill, we're going to bill for the initial period, the 12 weeks, or we could just bill pro rata till the end of March, and then they're in our billing run, or we can just bill month to month. So you have that option. I'll leave it as bill initial period. And then we come through to the item list, and we can then pull up the category that we want, temp fence, and we're going to send, we don't want to send pool fence out. We want to send out temporary fence, and he requires 45 meters. So it drops in all the clamps and required feet. We just update that, and then we just go through to print and email, and then we email that quote off. And there, that's how quick we can create a quote for a customer. Now, we could also say, well, we need to send some other attachments out with that quote. So we can then pull up our documents, and we can send the COVID workplace checklist, our SWMS, or whatever document you want to create, then we can send that as well. So it adds the contract or the quote, and the various documents that we want to send out. Now to convert this to a rental, we come through and then all we do is change that to a rental. And we don't need to check availabilities because we've got thousands of those. And now we've got a contract, which we could send out the contract. We could also add images if we wanted to. So if we have a look at that contract, it'll have the picture of the fencing or feet, whatever you want to put in there. And we can also add special conditions that you might want added to the contract, which gets put to the bottom of the contract, which you can see there as well. Go through to our first invoice, and there's the first invoice, which is going to be for that initial period, 3rd of March to 26th of March, and we just email that invoice off. Very, very simple. Now we can just take a payment for it. $891. How are they paying? Direct deposit. We do connect to various account packages, Xero, QuickBooks, or MyOb. So we just pay the invoice and record that. And so we have a invoice at this point in time. They owe us no money because they're paid up to date. Now, when the next month comes around, or at the end of this period, we click on booking invoice, and there's their second invoice for the next period, 27th of May to June, monthly. And we count the weeks exactly, 4.43 weeks. Now what we can also do prior to that second invoice going out in our admin section, we have the ability to have an email that will go out prior, one day before the end of the rental, basically telling the guy that, hey, it's the end of the period and we're going to start billing you, just so they don't get any nasty surprises. Now the last thing to do is the boys then would go through to logistics and they would just push that item out. So the guys, once they do that on the phone, as I demonstrated earlier, would set it to out, and that is out. And what we can do then later on is, if they require you to pick up 10 meters, for example, then so we can add partial returns. 10 meters of the fences come back at a certain time, and then we can come through and create off-hire partial invoices. So we can create an invoice for the 10 meters they just returned because it's in the middle of the billing period. Now we're going to just off-hire the job. We come through here and then we click off-hire, and then we can set the status. The items haven't been returned, and we're going to come out and pick them up tomorrow. So we've set a collection date for Friday or Thursday, whenever, and then that will go into our logistics tab for collection of the items. And then we can create a off-hire full invoice or an off-hire partial invoice. Now, if there was any damages that happened as part of the job, then we could just charge them $75 and create the invoice. Now, just going back to the dashboard, one of the things that we can do is, if your customer calls you up and say that there's been a problem with the fencing, we can then go through to the job, find the job, go to the logistics tab, and then we can add a service call. So we can select who we want the service call to go to, and then there's a blown fence, or whatever it is, broken and fixed, and then we can actually send that service call email out to our service guy, or we can text it to his phone. Now, if we're going to charge the customer for this, then we can add an item, which is a service. So we're going to charge them for an on-site service, and then we can invoice that customer and then just email that off. Okay, so the last section I want to show you is the financial area. In the financials, we see all our invoices that are 1 to 14 days old, 15 to 30, and we can then just easily send out reminders. Clicking the button brings up the invoice with the reminder in the email. Now we could just select all and then just process all those invoices. Also, this area here would show us anything that hasn't been posted through to our accounts package. And then we could just select all and then post those invoices through to the accounts package. This is the payments tab, which will just show you all your payments for a certain period, which then you can push through to your accounts package. The next tab is the long-term rentals. So this would show you everything that needs to be billed for the current month. And then once again, I can just select all and then process the invoices. So it'll go through and send out those invoices to the customer. If I need to make changes, I can quickly click into the job, have a look at what's in the job, go back, and then process that invoice. The last tab is just the reports tab, which is going to show you how your sales are going and how many invoices, your top customers, your top products. You also have a utilization report, which will allow you to see which products basically are making you the most money. And this is a chart that can be filtered out by relevant inventory. So I'm just going back to the dashboard. That's the end of our tour. There's some details at the end of this, so please send us an email for a further, more in-depth demonstration of the software, as we'd love to help you. Thanks so much for watching.